Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to knit this beautiful little sweater. It's for little girls and boys between 3 and 6 months old. I made it with a super easy stitch pattern, which is a garter stitch, so I hope you like it. The one we're going to make in the tutorial is for 3 to 6 months, but you can easily make it smaller or bigger from a newborn size and up to 6 to 12 months. In the information box below, I'll go ahead and leave you some information on how you can easily make it smaller or bigger, so be sure to check that out. And as always, if you prefer a written pattern, check out my Etsy shop. I'll leave the link to my Etsy shop up here on the right hand side and in the information box below. Thank you so much for your support. Now, to make this little sweater, this is the yarn that I used. This is a medium number 4 yarn, but you can also use any iron weight or 10 ply. For the 3 to 6 month size, I used a total of 135 grams, which is about 239 yards. Depending on the size that you make, you may need less or more. Now, you will also need 6 buttons. These are 16 millimeter size, but you can also use 15 millimeter size. And stay tuned. In another tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make the matching little hat. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. Don't forget to subscribe, activate the notifications bell, and remember, all of my tutorials are always in English and in Spanish. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, to begin and knit this little sweater, I'm going to be using these 5.5 millimeter knitting needles. These are circular needles, but you can also use straight needles. We're going to start with the neckline, we're going to make the yoke, and then we're going to separate for sleeves, make the sleeves, and then continue with the body. You will also need 6 buttons. These are 16 millimeter size. Now, the yarn that I'm using, it's a medium number 4 weight yarn. At the beginning of the tutorial, I showed you the yarn that I'm using, and I told you how much yarn we're going to need for the size that we're making here in this tutorial. You can also use iron weight or 10 ply. Now, this little cardigan here, this is for 0 to 3 months, and the only difference is the size needles. To make this one here, I use 5 millimeter and I follow the same pattern. So I'm going to show you here for the 3 to 6 month size. I'm going to be using the 5.5 millimeter knitting needles, like I said. So here to begin, the first thing that we need to do is we need to cast on our stitches. Now I'm going to cast on a total of 58 stitches. I'm going to show you how to cast on your stitches using the long tail cast on method, but if you prefer to use any other method, you can. I just like this method because the first row is nice and stretchy. Now, another thing, if you need gauge information, I always leave that in the information box below. So here to begin, I'm going to wrap the yarn around 20 times. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now I have enough yarn here for about 20 stitches. I'm going to double it up. I have enough for 40. Double it up again. I have enough for about 60 stitches. And I'm going to just give it a little bit more, maybe half. I have enough for about 70 stitches here. Now I'm going to make a slip knot here and insert my needle through this loop. Now this is the yarn that we just measured, and this here is coming from the skein. Insert your index finger and open up the yarn, and we're going to go from left to right, and we're going to grab a loop like this. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on until you have 58 stitches. I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. I finished casting on my stitches. I have 58. Here at the end, just tie a knot. Now, to begin here, we're going to start with a neckline. For the neckline, I'm going to knit 2, purl 2, and we're going to do this for a total of 4 rows. So to begin here, with the first stitch here, I'm going to knit 1, and knit the next stitch. The next 2 I'm going to purl. The next 2 knit. The next 2 purl. And this is how I'm going to continue for this first row of the neckline. Knit 2, purl 2. I'll meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of the first row. Now these last 2 stitches here I'm going to knit. And this is how I finish row 1 of the neckline with a total of 58 stitches. Now turn for row 2, Here what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip the first stitch and I'm going to purl one. This is to create a nice border here for these 4 rows. So I'm going to slip the first stitch. Now the next stitch, purl, the next 2 stitches, knit, the next 2, purl. Continue like this to the end of this second row. I'm here at the end of the second row. Now these last 2 stitches I'm going to purl. Now turn for row 3. Here I'm going to slip the first stitch, knit the next, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2. Continue like this to the end of this third row. I'm here at the end of the third row. Now these last 2 stitches I'm going to knit. Now turn for row 4. I'm going to slip the first stitch and then I'm going to purl 1. Now knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2. Continue like this to the end of this 4th row of the neckline. I'm here at the end of the 4th row of the neckline. Now these last 2 stitches I'm going to purl. Now this completes the neckline. If you want to make more rows to make the neckline wider, you can continue and make more rows. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start on the garter stitch pattern, which is this part here for the yoke. So to begin here, before we do that, I'm going to place a stitch marker here. This is going to mark the front side of the little sweater. From now on, this is going to be the front and this is going to be the back side. Now I'm also going to mark 6 stitches here for the front panels at the beginning and at the end. I'm going to be making a series of repeats. Each repeat is going to consist of 6 rows and we're going to make a total of 4. So this would be row 1 of the first repeat. Also in this row I'm going to be adding a buttonhole. I'm going to make it here at the beginning and at the end. If you're making this for boy or girl, don't worry about it. The important thing is that you make a buttonhole at the beginning and at the end. At the end of the tutorial I will explain why. So trust the process. Make a buttonhole at the beginning and at the end. So here to begin, I'm going to slip this first stitch, but only for this row. Going forward, I'm going to always knit the first stitch. So here to begin, I'm going to knit the second stitch, and now I'm going to yarn over. Now knit 2 together through the back. Now knit the next stitch and slip the next stitch purlwise. Place a stitch marker to mark the front panels. We have 6 stitches here, 2, 4, 6. Now I'm going to knit across to the last 6 stitches, just like this. So continue to the end of this first row of the first repeat for the body. I will meet you right here 6 stitches before we finish to show you how we're going to add a buttonhole at the end. I'm here at the end of the first row to the first repeat. Here, place a stitch marker. I have the last 6 stitches. Now, to work these last 6 stitches, I'm going to slip purlwise the next stitch. Then I'm going to knit 1. I'm going to knit 2 together, yarn over, and knit 2. And this is how I finish row 1 of the first repeat, where I have added a buttonhole at the beginning and at the end. Now turn for row 2. This is the wrong side. Here I'm going to knit 5, the yarn over, knit through the back loop, and the last stitch, the stitch before the stitch marker, I'm going to purl past the stitch marker. Now in this second row, this is where we're always going to make our increases, and we're always going to make them on the wrong side. So for the second row of the first repeat here, to make the increases, I'm going to knit 3, and now I'm going to make 1 left. Pick up this bar that's between these 2 stitches, put it onto the needle, and knit this loop through the back. This is a make 1 left increase. Again, we're going to knit 3 and make 1 left. Knit 3, make 1 left. Knit 3, make 1 left. Continue like this to the end of this row. I will meet you right here, 6 stitches before we finish. I'm here at the end of the second row of the first repeat. This is the wrong side. In this row we have increased. Here's my last increase. Now I have 1 last stitch. I'm going to knit past the stitch marker, and now these last 6 stitches I'm going to purl 1, then knit 5. That's 1, 2, 3, the yarn over, knit through the back, 4 and 5. And this is how I finish the second row to the first repeat. At the end of this row I have a total of 73 stitches. Now for row 3 of the first repeat, this is the right side. I'm going to knit 5, and I'm going to slip 1 purlwise past the stitch marker, and now I'm going to knit across to the last 6 stitches. Continue. I'll meet you at the end of this third row. I'm here at the end of the third row, past the stitch marker. Here at the end I'm going to slip 1 purlwise, then knit 5. Turn for row 4 of the first repeat. At the end of the third row I had 73 stitches as well. At the end of each row for the first repeat we're always going to have 73 stitches. Now for row 4, this is the wrong side. I'm going to knit 5, purl 1, past the stitch marker. Now knit across to the last 6 stitches. Continue. I will meet you at the end of this fourth row. I'm here at the end of the fourth row. This is the wrong side. I have knit across past the stitch marker, purl 1, knit 5 here at the end. This is how we're going to work these last 6 stitches when we're on the wrong side from here on. Now turn for row 5 of the first repeat. Here we're going to always knit 5 at the beginning of the row when we're on the right side. And then we're going to slip 1 purlwise past the stitch marker and knit across to the end of this 5th row. I'm here at the end of the 5th row to the first repeat. This is the right side. Past the stitch marker, slip 1 purlwise, then knit 5. And this is how we're always going to end each row when we're on the right side. You slip 1 purlwise and then knit 5 here at the end. Now turn for row 6 of the first repeat. Here I'm going to knit 5, now the 6th stitch we purl past the stitch marker, knit across. Go ahead and finish this 6th row. Here at the end you're going to pass a stitch marker, purl 1, then knit 5. I'll meet you at the end of this 6th row to the first repeat. I'm here at the end of the 6th row. I have 73 stitches. Now turn. This completes the first repeat. We have made 6 rows here of the body. Now we're going to repeat these same 6 rows again. So here to begin the second repeat, this will be row 1 to the second repeat. Here, same thing. I'm going to knit 5, slip 1 purlwise past the stitch marker. Now I'm going to knit across to the last 6 stitches for this first row to the second repeat. Here at the end, you already know you're going to pass a stitch marker, you're going to slip 1 purlwise, then knit 5. I'll meet you at the end of this first row to the second repeat. I finished the first row to the second repeat. Now here at the end, the stitch after the stitch marker, I slipped 1 purlwise, then knit 5. Now turn for row 2 of the second repeat. In this row is where we're going to increase, but first we're going to knit 5 here. And purl 1, past the stitch marker. Now to increase here, I'm going to knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now make 1 left, pick up this bar, put it onto the left needle, and knit through the back. Again, you're going to knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make 1 left. Knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and make 1 left. And this is how you're going to continue to the end of this second row, to the second repeat. I will meet you here at the end to show you how we're going to finish this row. I'm here at the end of the second row to the second repeat. In this row we have increased. This is the wrong side. Now here's my last increase. I have 7 stitches left. This next stitch here I'm going to knit past the stitch marker, purl 1, then knit 5. And this is how I finished the second row. I have a total of 88 stitches at the end of this row. From here on, for the second repeat, we're always going to have 88 stitches. Now for row 3 of the second repeat, I'm going to knit 5, slip the next stitch purlwise past the stitch marker, and now I'm just going to knit across to the last 6 stitches. Once you get here to the end, you're going to pass the stitch marker, slip 1 purlwise, then knit 5. I'll meet you at the end of this third row to the second repeat. I finished the third row to the second repeat. Now here at the end, these last 6 stitches, you slip 1 purlwise, then knit 5. Now turn for row 4. Row 4 is on the wrong side. So here to begin, we're going to knit 5. Purl 1, past the stitch marker. Now in this row, all we're going to do is just knit across up to the last 6 stitches. Continue, finish this 4th row. I will meet you at the end. I finished the 4th row. I have a total of 88 stitches. Now these last 6 stitches here, I purled 1, then knit 5. Now turn for row 5 of the second repeat. Here we start with knit 5. Slip 1 purlwise past the stitch marker, then knit across up to the last 6 stitches. Continue, finish this 5th row. I will meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of the 5th row. Here at the end, these last 6 stitches, I slipped 1 purlwise, then knit 5. Now turn for row 6 of the second repeat. Here we begin with knit 5. Purl 1, pass the stitch marker, and now just knit across to the last 6 stitches. Continue and finish this 6th row. I will meet you at the end. I finished the 6th row. At the end of this row, I had 88 stitches. Here at the end, these last 6 stitches, I passed the stitch marker, purl 1, knit 5. Now this completes the second repeat. Now I'm going to make the third repeat. So here to begin row 1 of the third repeat, I'm going to knit 5, slip 1 purlwise past the stitch marker, and knit across. Finish this first row to the third repeat. I will meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of the first row to the third repeat. Now here at the end, I slipped the marker, then I slip 1 purlwise, then knit 5. Now for row 2 of the third repeat, and this row is where we're going to increase, but first here to begin, I'm going to knit 5, purl 1, past the stitch marker, and now to increase in this row, I'm going to knit 4, Now pick up this bar between the 2 stitches and make 1 left. Again, knit 4, make 1 left. Knit 4, make 1 left. This is how you're going to continue to the end of the second row. Knit 4, make 1 left. Continue. I'll meet you here at the end to show you how we're going to finish this second row to the 3rd repeat. I'm here at the end of the second row to the 3rd repeat. Here's the last increase. I have 4 stitches before the stitch marker. Now knit 4 here at the end. Pass the stitch marker, purl 1, knit 5. And this is how I finish the second row to the 3rd repeat. Now for row 3 here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the second buttonhole. I'm going to make one at the beginning and at the end. So here to begin, I'm going to knit 2, yarn over, then knit 2 together through the back. Now knit 1, slip 1 purlwise, pass the stitch marker. Now for the 3rd row here, just knit across up to the last 6 stitches. And here we're going to be adding our buttonholes after every 14 rows, so this would be row 15. So continue like this, finish the 3rd row. I will meet you at the end to show you how we're going to make the buttonhole at the end of the row. I'm here at the end of the 3rd row to the 3rd repeat. Now here at the end, slip the marker, slip the next stitch purlwise. I'm going to knit 1, knit 2 together through the back, yarn over, knit 2, and here is the buttonhole at the end of the row. Now turn for row 4, knit 5, the yarn over, knit through the back, and purl 1, slip the marker. Now knit across up to the last 6 stitches. Continue, finish this 4th row to the 3rd repeat. I will meet you at the end. Remember that at the end of each row here for the 3rd repeat, we're always going to have 106 stitches. I'm here at the end of the 4th row to the 3rd repeat. Now here at the end, I slip the marker, purl 1, knit 5. Now turn for row 5 of the 3rd repeat. Here we begin with knit 5. Slip the next stitch purlwise, pass the stitch marker, and just knit across up to the last 6 stitches. Finish row 5 of the 3rd repeat. I will meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of the 5th row, pass the stitch marker here, slip 1 purlwise, knit 5. Turn for row 6, begin with knit 5. Purl 1, pass the stitch marker, and knit across up to the last 6 stitches. Continue, finish this 6th row. I will meet you at the end. I finished the 6th row. Here at the end, I slip the marker, purl 1, knit 5. This completes the 3rd repeat. I have a total of 106 stitches. Now we're going to make one more repeat. So here to begin, we knit 5. This would be row 1 to the 4th repeat. Slip the next stitch purlwise, pass the stitch marker. Here you're going to knit across up to the last 6 stitches. Finish this 1st row to the 4th repeat. I will meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of the 1st row to the 4th repeat. I'm on the right side here at the end. After the stitch marker, I slipped the next stitch purlwise, then knit 5. Now turn for row 2 of the 4th repeat. In this row we're going to increase, but first we're going to knit 5. Purl 1, pass the stitch marker. Now to begin here, I'm going to knit 4. That's 2, 3, 4. Make one left, pick up this bar, put it onto the left needle, and knit through the back. Again, knit 4, then make one left. And this is how I'm going to continue to the end of this second row to the 4th repeat. You knit 4, then make one left. Continue, finish this row. I will meet you at the end to show you how we're going to finish it. I'm here at the end of the second row to the 4th repeat. Here's the last increase. I have 2 stitches before the stitch marker. Here, knit 2, pass the stitch marker, purl 1, then knit 5. And here is the second row to the 4th repeat. In this row we increased, so I have a total of 129 stitches. Now for row 3 of the 4th repeat, I'm going to knit 5. Slip one purlwise, pass the stitch marker, then knit across up to the last 6 stitches. Finish this third row to the 4th repeat. I will meet you at the end. I finished the third row to the 4th repeat. Here at the end, same thing. I slipped one purlwise, then knit 5. I have a total of 129 stitches. At the end of each row for this 4th repeat, we're always going to have 129 stitches, except for row 6, which I'm going to increase 5 extra stitches, but I'll show you that once we get there. Now for row 4, we begin with knit 5. Purl 1, slip your marker. Here you're going to knit across up to the last 6 stitches. Finish this 4th row. I will meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of the 4th row. Here at the end, I purled 1, knit 5. Now for row 5 of the 4th repeat, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to knit 5 here at the beginning. Now slip one purlwise, pass the stitch marker, and knit across up to the last 6 stitches. So continue and finish this 5th row to the 4th repeat. I will meet you at the end. I finished the 5th row to the 4th repeat. Here at the end, I slipped one purlwise, then knit 5. Now we're going to turn for row 6. In this row, I'm going to increase 5 extra stitches, and this is what we're going to do. I'm going to start with knit 5 here. Purl 1, pass the stitch marker, and I'm going to continue and knit until I have a total of 25 stitches. So here I have 6, 7, 8, 22, 23, 24, 25. I have 25 stitches, including the 6 stitches here for the front panels. Now I'm going to make one left, so I'll pick up this bar, put it onto the left needle, and knit this through the back. So here I'm going to increase every 25 stitches. Once I get here towards the end, I don't know, 10-15 stitches before I finish, I'm going to count my stitches to make sure that I finish with 124 stitches. So here again, I'm going to knit 25. That's 2, 3, 25, and now make one left. Pick up this bar, put it onto the needle, and make one left. Now continue like this, making increases. We only need 5 extra stitches so that we finish with 134 stitches at the end of this row. I'll meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of the 6th row to the 4th repeat. Now here to finish, here's the last increase that I did. Let's see. It's right here. This is the last increase, and then I knit 20. That's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Here, 3 stitches before the stitch marker, I need to make my last increase. So lift up this bar, put it onto the needle, and make the 5th increase here. Now knit 3, pass the stitch marker, purl 1, knit 5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And here's the 6th row to the 4th repeat. In this row I increased 5 extra stitches, so I have a total of 134 stitches at the end of this row. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to separate for sleeves. So to do this, here I'm going to place some stitch markers. So here we have a total of 134 stitches. Each one of the front panels is going to have 21 stitches. We have 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 21. Place a stitch marker. Each of the sleeves is going to have 30. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. Place a stitch marker. Now for the back side, I'm going to have 32. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32. Place a stitch marker. For the second sleeve, 30, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. And for the second front panel, we're going to have 21. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 21. Perfect. This is how we're going to separate the sleeves. Now this first row is going to be pretty long. We're going to work this first front panel, then we're going to make the first sleeve. After we finish the sleeve, we're going to work the back side, then make the second sleeve, and then finish here with the second front panel. So it's a pretty long row. So to begin here, I'm going to knit 5. Slip the next stitch purlwise, pass the stitch marker, and then knit up to the next stitch marker. So here I have 7, 8, 21. There, I have knit 21 stitches, including the stitches here for the button band. Now what I like to do here is I like to use a separate set of knitting needles. This is just for better comfort. I'm going to leave the main needles here. Okay, so here are my straight needles. These are 5.5. So here I'm going to remove the stitch marker, and I am going to leave the main needles here, waiting until we continue with the back side. So here I'm going to knit 30. 1, 2, 3. There. Now remove the stitch marker, and I'm going to leave these needles here. Turn, and with the second needle, the spare one here, I'm going to now knit 30. So this would be row 2, and it's being worked on the wrong side. This is for the sleeve. There, turn. We have 2 rows here. So I'm going to place a stitch marker to mark these 2 rows, and I'm going to count from here. I'm not sure how many rows I'm going to do for the sleeve, but continue watching. I will let you know. And all you're going to do here is just knit 30, turn, and then knit 30 again. And that's how we're going to continue for the sleeve. Continue watching. I will let you know how many rows I'm going to do. Right now we're doing this part here, and then I'm going to show you how to make the cuff. So continue, and I'll meet you at the end of that row. I finished making this part of the sleeve. I have done a total of 38 rows. From here up to here, there's 38 rows. And this part here, it's measuring about 15 centimeters, which is about 6 inches. Now we're going to make the cuff, and to make the cuff, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do the same thing we did here around the neckline, where we just knit 2 and purl 2. So to begin here, row 1 of the cuff, I'm going to knit 2, then purl 2. Knit 2, purl 2. I'm going to do this across this first row of the cuff. These last 2 stitches, knit 2. Now turn for row 2. This is on the wrong side. And we're going to begin with, let's see, here I need to purl 2 because these 2 stitches are purl, but what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to slip the first stitch and then purl 1. Now knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, these last 2 stitches, purl 2. Now turn for row 3. Same thing. Slip the first stitch and knit 1, then purl 2, knit 2. You're going to do this across this third row, and we're going to do a total of 6 rows here for this part. And then I'm going to come back, and in row 7 I'm going to cast off our stitches. So continue, finish these 6 rows, and then I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. I finished row 6 of the cuff here. Now we're going to turn. This is row 7 and it's on the right side. I'm going to cast off our stitches here. So here, slip 1, then knit the next. Bring this stitch over the first stitch. Now the next 2 are purls, so we're going to purl. Bring this stitch over, purl the next, bring this stitch over. The next 2 are knit, so we're going to knit them. But first bring this stitch over, and so on. This is how we're going to cast off our stitches, so continue and finish this 7th row. I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. I finished casting off the stitches here for the cuff. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my yarn. I'm going to measure here 3 times the length of the sleeve, and I'm just going to cut here. Now pass the yarn through this last loop. And this part here is done. Now once the sleeve is done, we're going to go ahead and close the sleeves, but I'll show you that at the end of the tutorial. Now we're going to continue here. Now these are the stitches for the first front panel. I have 21 stitches here, so I'm going to attach my yarn to this last stitch right here. Just insert your hook there and grab a loop. Now tie a knot here. And now we can continue with the back side. Here for the back side, I have 32 stitches. But first I'm going to add 1 extra stitch. So just add a stitch here under the sleeve, and now we're going to continue knitting these 32 stitches for the back side. 31, 32. I'm going to leave the main needles here, and now I'm going to continue with the extra set of needles here. These are straight needles in the same size. Now I'm just going to knit across these 30 stitches for the second sleeve, just like we did with the first sleeve. There, I have 30 stitches. Now I'm going to leave the main needles here, and I'm going to continue and knit the second sleeve. I'm going to do this exactly how I did the first sleeve. I did a total of 38 rows, and then I knit 2, purl 2 for a total of 6 rows for the cuff, and then I cast off on row 7. So go ahead and finish the second sleeve. Make it exactly how we did the first sleeve, and then I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. I finished the second sleeve, I finished the cuff, and then I cast off on the last row. Here I left long tail so that we can close the sleeve once it's done. So now we're going to continue and finish this first row by knitting these last stitches here for the front panel, the second front panel. But first we need to attach the yarn. Here is where we left off. I'm going to attach the yarn to this last stitch. This is the back side, so with a crochet hook here, just pull the yarn through and tie a knot. There. Now before we continue, I'm going to add 1 extra stitch. There it is, and now I'm just going to continue and finish these last 21 stitches. Pass the stitch marker, slip 1 purlwise, knit 5. And here is row 1. We have separated the sleeves, we made the sleeves, we knit the back side, and we finished here with the second front panel. Now at the end of this row, I have a total of 76 stitches. Each of the front panels has 21. For the back side, I have 32, and under each sleeve, I have 1 stitch. So that's a total of 76 stitches at the end of this first row. Now we're going to continue with the body here, and to start the second row, this is on the wrong side, I'm going to knit 5 here, and then purl 1, pass a stitch marker, and just knit across up to the last 6 stitches. So continue, finish this second row. I will meet you here at the end to show you what we need to do next. I'm here at the end of the second row of the body. Here I pass a stitch marker, purl 1, knit 5. Here's the second row. Now for rows 3 and 4, you're just going to knit across, except for this part here where you just knit 5, slip 1 purlwise, pass a stitch marker, knit across up to the last 6 stitches where you're going to do the same thing, and then you're going to turn for row 4, and then repeat the same thing I did in the second row. In row 5 is where I'm going to go ahead and add the third buttonhole, so I'm going to go ahead and show you that. So go ahead and finish row 3, and then go ahead and finish row 4. I'll meet you at the end of the 4th row. I finished row 3, that was on the right side, turned for row 4. I'm here at the end of the 4th row. Now turn for row 5. Here at the beginning and at the end, I'm going to add my third buttonhole. Remember that we're adding buttonholes after every 14 rows. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So on row 15 here, or this 5th row, this is where I'm going to add the third buttonhole. So here to do this, I'm going to knit 2, yarn over, knit 2 together through the back, knit 1, slip 1 purlwise, past the stitch marker, and now I'm going to knit across this 5th row of the body until I come to the last 6 stitches. I will meet you at the end of this row to show you how we're going to add the buttonhole at the end of the row. I'm here at the end of the 5th row, past the stitch marker, slip 1 purlwise. Here I'm going to add the 3rd buttonhole at the end. So knit 1, then knit 2 together, yarn over, and knit 2. And here's the 5th row of the body. At the end of this row I have 76 stitches, and we're always going to have 76 stitches from here on for the body. Now for row 6 turn, here we begin with knit 5, the yarn over, knit through the back, purl 1, past the stitch marker, and knit across up to the last 6 stitches. And this is how we're going to continue here for the body. I'm not sure how many rows I'm going to do, but continue watching. I will let you know exactly how many rows I'm going to do. Also keep count of your rows. We're adding buttonholes after every 14 rows. So continue like this for the body and continue watching. I will let you know exactly how many rows I'm going to do. So I will meet you at the end of that row. I will also give you the row number where I'm going to be adding my buttonholes. I'm almost done with the body. I have done a total of 42 rows from under the sleeve to the end here, the last row that I did. I have a total of 42 rows. If I count all the rows minus the rows for the neckline, so these rows here of garter stitch, I have a total of 66. So now I'm going to tell you where I have added my buttonholes. The first one was added on row 1. The second one was added on row 15. The third one, row 29. The fourth one, row 43. The fifth one, row 57. And here I need to add 4 more rows to make my 6th buttonhole, but I'm going to start the hem. So to do this here, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to make the hem exactly how I did the cuffs and the neckline. So here to begin, this would be row 1 of the hem. So on row 5 of the hem is where I'm going to go ahead and make the 6th buttonhole. So here to begin, this part is the same. We knit 5, slip 1 purlwise past the stitch marker, and here I begin with knit 2, then purl 2, knit 2, purl 2. Continue like this, knit 2, purl 2 up to the last 6 stitches. So I'll meet you at the end of this first row of the hem. I'm here at the end of this first row of the hem. These last 2 stitches before the stitch marker, I'm going to purl 2. Now past the stitch marker, slip 1 purlwise, knit 5. Now turn for row 2 of the hem. This is on the wrong side. Knit 5. Purl 1, past the stitch marker. And here we're going to work these stitches exactly how they are. These next 2 stitches are knit, so we knit 2. The next 2, purl 2. The next 2, knit 2, and so on. Continue. I will meet you here at the end, 6 stitches before we finish, to show you what we need to do next. I'm here at the end of the second row. These 2 stitches before the stitch marker, I purl 2. Past the stitch marker, purl 1, knit 5. Now turn for row 3. Begin with knit 5. Slip 1 purlwise, past the stitch marker, and here we're going to work the stitches exactly how they are. These 2 are knit, so we knit 2. The next 2 are purl, the next 2 knit, and so on. Continue like this for the third row. After you finish, you're going to turn and then repeat the same thing for row 4. I will meet you at the end of the fourth row of the hem. I finished row 3 and then I did row 4. I'm here at the end of the fourth row. Now turn for row 5. In row 5 is where I'm going to add my 6th buttonhole. So to do this here, I'm going to knit 2, yarn over, knit 2 together through the back, knit 1 and then slip 1 purlwise, pass the stitch marker and then continue with the same pattern here. Knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2. Continue. I will meet you at the end of this 5th row, 6 stitches before we finish, to show you how I'm going to add the buttonhole at the end of the row. I'm here at the end of the 5th row of the hem. Here at the end, slip the next stitch, knit 1, then knit 2 together, yarn over and knit 2. And here's the buttonhole at the end of the row. Now turn for row 6. Begin with knit 5, the yarn over, knit through the back, purl 1, pass a stitch marker, and here knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2. Continue and finish this 6th row. I will meet you at the end. I finished the 6th row of the hem. Now I'm going to cast off my stitches here. So for row 7 here, I'm going to knit 1, knit the next, bring the first stitch over the second stitch, knit the next stitch, bring this first stitch over the second, knit 1, bring this stitch over, knit 1, bring the stitch over, knit the 6th stitch, bring the stitch over, remove the stitch markers. Here, knit the next stitch, bring the stitch over, knit the next, bring the stitch over, the next 2, purl 1, bring the stitch over, purl the next, bring the stitch over, the next 2, knit 1, bring the stitch over, knit the next, and so on. Continue and cast off your stitches. I'll come back and show you how to close the sleeves. I'm here at the end of the 7th row. I'm almost done casting off my stitches. Here at the end, these last 6 stitches, knit the next stitch, bring the stitch over, knit the next, bring the stitch over, and so on until we finish. This part here is done. This is how it looks. Now all we need to do is just attach the buttons, but I'll show you that once it's done. We also need to seam here the sleeves, but first I'm going to make a row of slip stitches here along the front panels. This part here, I don't know, I think it'll look better if I do slip stitches here. If you want to leave it like this, just go ahead and forward the video to this part where I show you how to close the sleeves. But I'm going to do this here. I'm going to be using this 4.5mm crochet hook. So to begin here, I'm going to go into the end here of this next row and make a slip stitch like this. I didn't cut my yarn or anything. I'm just going to continue here along the very edge. Now into the next row, you see this row here and you see this stitch at the very end. Insert your hook there and make a slip stitch along the very edge of the next row. Right here you see that bump, make a slip stitch. I'm just inserting my hook at the end of these garter rows right here. And all you do is just insert your hook there and make a slip stitch like this. So continue like this. I will meet you here at the top and I'll tell you how many slip stitches I have, and then I'll show you how to do the other front panel. I'm here at the top. I did my last slip stitch here at the end. I have a total of 40 slip stitches. If you have 1 or 2 stitches less or more, it's okay. So here at the end, I've cut my yarn already, and just pass your yarn through this last loop. And this part here is done, so just go ahead and hide your ends on the inside. Now I'm going to show you how to do the second front panel. So to do this here, I'm going to start at the top. I'm going to make a knot here. I'm going to go here along the very edge, right here. Grab a loop, bring it through, and chain 1. Now along the edge here, make a slip stitch. To the next row, a slip stitch, and here we have the row of garter stitch, so you can go through this and make your slip stitch like this. Now make sure that you have the same number of slip stitches as you did for the first side. For me, I had 40, so I'll make sure to do the same here for this side. Continue, finish this second front panel. Here at the end, just cut your yarn, pass your yarn through that last loop, and just hide your ends, and then I'll come back and show you how to close the sleeves. I finished the second front panel. Here at the end, I just cut my yarn, pass my yarn through that last loop. So both front panels are done. Now to close the sleeves, we're going to do this side first. So here with a yarn needle, we're going to start at the top. So my yarn is on this side. I'm going to go here to this other end, insert my needle through there, go back through this last stitch, and now it's joined. Now here to close the sleeve, make sure that each row corresponds on either side. So I'm going to go here on this side along the very edge, insert your needle through there. Along this other end, insert your needle through that side, and do the same for the next rows. There, I'm almost done here. Now for the garter stitch rows here, I'm going to go here along the very edge. You see this stitch right there. That's where I'm going to be inserting my needles through. And on this side, I'm going to go through the very edge. You see this stitch right there. So let's start here by going through this bump, first stitch right there. Go on this side. There's that little bump again, like this. The important thing here is that your rows correspond. That way at the end we don't have any rows left. And as you can see, this almost looks seamless. So make sure to do the same. I will meet you right here to show you how we're going to join at the end with this stitch that we added under the sleeves. Okay, I'm almost done closing the sleeve. This is how it looks. Now, for the underarm here, there is no right or wrong way of doing this. The important thing is that we close this small gap that's there. So what I like to do is, here's my last stitch. I'm going to go through this stitch again and through the center stitch. This is that extra stitch that I added. So just join this part like this and go through the wrong side like this. And that looks pretty good. So now all we need to do now is just hide this end. But first I like to tie a knot like this and reinforce this knot. Now go here and look and see how it looks. I think that looks pretty good. So now all I need to do is just cut my yarn and then repeat the same thing here for the second sleeve. It's done exactly in the same way. So go ahead and do that, and then I'll come back and show you how I attach my buttons. I closed the second sleeve. It's all done. This is how it looks. I did it exactly in the same way how I showed you here with the first sleeve. So this little sweater is done. Now all we need to do is just attach our buttons. Now this little sweater is for little girls. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach my buttons on this front panel. If you're making it for boys, you're going to attach it here on this side. And you're going to attach your button in the same hole right here where we did the buttonhole, and I'll show you that. I'm using these buttons. These are 16mm size, and all I did here is just cut some yarn, the same yarn that I used to make the little sweater. This is about 10 inches or so, and I split the yarn. My yarn here has 4 strands, so I just split it in half. And then I just passed my yarn through the little holes in the center of the button. So here, let me show you how we're going to attach our buttons. Like I said, this one here is for little girls, so I'm going to attach my buttons on this side. If you're making it for boys, you're going to attach it here on this side, and it's going to go like this. This other little sweater, I did it exactly in the same way how I showed you here. The only difference here is the needle size. This one is for 0 to 3 months, whereas this one here, it's going to be for 3 to 6 months. I did it exactly in the same way with the same number of rows. Everything is exactly the same. The only difference is the needle size and of course the placement of the buttons. So let me show you here with this one. Now, you know that we have 2 buttonholes, one on this end and one on the other end. So this side is where the buttonholes are going to remain. This is where I'm going to attach my buttons. I'm going to find my buttonhole here on this side, and I'm going to do the following. With a yarn needle, I'm going to insert this on this side right here and on this side. I'm going to bring this end of this yarn through on this side and the other end on the opposite side of the buttonhole, and insert my needle on that side. Now I'm going to pull this through like this, and I'm going to tie my button like this. Make sure to make a double knot, pull it tightly. You can also use 3 strands if you prefer. I know my yarn is pretty strong. I'm pulling this very hard and it's not going to break. So I'm going to make another knot or a double knot, and my button is attached. It's not going to come off, and that hole that I did, it's closed. This here ensures that the button is in the same row as I did my buttonholes. That's how it looks. So now let me show you again. I have them already here. Let me pull another one. These buttons, I think I mentioned, they're 16mm size. So find the next buttonhole. It's right here. So I'm going to go on this side of the buttonhole. Here's the center. So go on this side and pull this end through. Find the other end and go on the opposite side and pull this through. Now here, you just tie your button. And now all you have to do is just hide this here on the inside. So let me show you that part too. You're going to go here on the inside and just go through this row of garter stitch. And what I like to do is just tie a knot here. Pull a little and cut the yarn. And the button is attached. It's not going to come off. Now I'm going to repeat the same thing for the next 4. So I just thought I showed you how I'm going to attach my buttons. And remember, this here is for girls, so I'm attaching my buttons on this side. If it's for boys, you're going to attach your buttons here on this side. right here where we did the buttonholes on this side. So this side is going to be your buttonhole side. So it's going to look like this for boy, and for girl it's going to look like this. So I'll go ahead and finish this part, and then I'll come back and give you the finished measurements. I finished attaching my buttons. This little sweater is all done, and this is how it looks. Here's the front side, and this is the back side. Now let me give you the finished measurements. From the top of the neckline to the end of the cuff, it's measuring about 27 centimeters, which is about 10.5 inches. From under the arm to the end of the cuff, it's measuring about 17 centimeters, which is about 6.75 inches. Now the width of the sleeve, just the top, it's measuring about 10 centimeters, which is about 4 inches. Now the total length from the top of the shoulder to the end of the hem, it's measuring about 28 centimeters, which is about 11 inches. Now the chest measurement, just the top, it's measuring about 23 centimeters, which is about 9 inches. So based on these measurements, this little cardigan sweater is for little girls between 3 and 6 months old. You can easily make it for boys. This one here, I made it for a little boy. The only difference here is the needle size. For this one I used 5mm knitting needles, whereas for this one I used 5.5. Now as far as yarn, for the 3 to 6 month size, you're going to need a total of 135 grams, which is about 239 yards. Stay tuned. In another tutorial I'm going to show you how to make the matching little hats. Okay, so this was today's tutorial. I hope you like it. As always, don't forget, if you prefer a written pattern, check out my Etsy shop. I'll leave the link to my Etsy shop up here on the right hand side and in the information box below. Thank you so much for your support.